Hello, Serge here for the Backyard Driving Range. All right, letter came into customer service. This one comes from Jim Caran. And Jim says, Don, I don't know if I heard you right, but I was always told that when I hold the club, the V of both my hands should face my right shoulder. On one of your videos, I believe you indicated that the V should be under your chin. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Keep up the good work, as your videos help me to no end. Again, Jim Caran, Canada. Okay, Jim, good question. I haven't had a question about a grip in a long time. And so let's talk about the V's. Normally, you're correct. V's, they say you should have both V's pointing somewhat up towards the right shoulder. I don't totally agree with that, because I really think that in most cases, if I'm looking down at my V's, and again, you made a mention of in terms of the right shoulder, that's general golf instruction. I don't think they point that far to the right, because we're going to use what is called a dynamically balanced hand. If you stand here and you stand up and you hold both of your arms, just let your arms hang at your side. Notice they both point inwards. So once they point inwards, at some point to make a golf grip, we got to turn them. All right? Now, so there's a certain way that's going to happen. And we got to realize that once we grip a club correctly, where both palms are facing each other, all right, what I call the prayer position, and in a prayer position like they teach little kids when they go into like their first communion and everything else, and going into church the first time, they teach them to hold the hands directly in front of the body. Right? It's just like when soldiers are at parade rest and stuff, they have their hands like this. They don't have them off to one side of the body or the other. Everything is balanced out in the center of the body. Right? If you stand here and you listen to somebody or you're talking to whatever, you have your hands, if together like this, in the center of your body, right in line with your spine. Okay? So once we come in here, they're pointing this way. They got to come and they got to get together. All right? Now, Dr. Armstrong says that the number one thing we want to remember, have to know and remember about having your hands in dynamic balance is when your hands are just hanging here, or like when you go to shake hands with somebody, just look at your hands, put them out in front of you. The thumb's always pointing up the forearms. All right? So if you're actually going to have your V pointing at the right shoulder with your left hand, it has to be that you got a strong right hand. Your left hand on the club, excuse me. The left hand's a little strong. It's a little bit going to be towards palm down, not perfectly palms perpendicular. Okay? And so if we squeeze it, if we put it in the fingers, all right, and I'm not going to get into all those points. They're in the manual, the Peak Performance Swing Manual, Foundations Manual, and everything else. But Dr. Armstrong, when he's teaching the grip, he likes someone to just stand here. He takes the club, and when the hand's right here in this position, kind of pointing that way, hanging at the side, he drops the club in it, and look what you now have, and you grip it over here. Now you have the club, and the club is pointing that way, where the head is slightly inside the hands. So if you just take that club and lift it in front of your body, and put it at, say, a ball in the middle of your stance, or even your driver here, your left arm and shaft is relatively in line. Your thumb's over here at, and Doc doesn't like the thumb at 12 o'clock. It's got to be over here at 1 o'clock. So you don't want the bottom of your say left thumb, your top thumb, left thumb for a right-handed golfer would be on the top. You want the side over here, the inside of it, on the outside of the club here. So if this is a clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, the right side of there is 1 o'clock. You want that thumb over there about 1 o'clock, or even just a little after 1. All right? So that's what gives us the V. But the key is that V is not. I'm not so much interested in that V. But if you look here at my hand right now, with the left arm and shaft in line, the butt of the club pointing at my left hip, which is where it's supposed to be, my V is pointing up somewhere around my chest here, not over towards my right shoulder. See what I got to do? I got to make it stronger. And now the club, the palm is not perpendicular to the ground. It's more close to parallel. In this position, the key is the left thumb is pointing up. So now if I take my right hand and put it on the club, as I say, I crimp the grip and pucker my thumb. It creates a gap in there. That gap was, God gave us that gap to fit right over that top thumb in the way. All right? And so now it fits right on there. As you can see, it sits right on in there. And I come down here, and this thumb comes over to now where shall we say, the inside of this thumb, here where my fingers would be if I was making a 0, right? And doing like this, okay. That is now touching the club. This finger comes on, and we got what I call the trigger position, or like fishing. It just holds it in there so the club doesn't flop back in that V, all right? But where's my thumb? It's over here, and this thumb at best is pointing up somewhere around here, maybe my right shoulder, but the left the left or the top thumb is pointing more over here. But again, in both cases, both thumbs are pointing up the forearm, and that's when the hands are dynamically balanced. It's like if I was to come here and I'm going to grab this club with my right hand. That's one of the things Dr. Armstrong does with everybody. Dr. Armstrong does. He comes over and he says, grab this club and watch what your thumbs do. See? They come and they grasp together. You have to have thumbs to grab things. All right? And when you grab it, that thumb is pretty much always staying up in line with up the forearm, and that's when the hands in dynamically balanced position, which all the muscles that connect the thumb and the fingers to the wrist and the wrist to the forearms, that makes all those muscles equally long and equal, which that's what dynamic balance is, because they're all at the same length to produce work, and work is movement. Okay, so, and that lastly but not leastly, the last thing is we squeeze upward, like shaking hands. You squeeze upward, which activates the under muscles of the arms, which are critical for lifting and pulling down. They're the lifter and puller muscles. And when you got a relatively firm grip, it should be relatively firm on a handshake scale of 1 to 5, 1 being dead fish, 5 being squeezing your eyeballs out. You want to be about 3 right in the middle, controlled, firm grip. So I'm not a true advocate of the V's at the right V might be up there, but the left V should be somewhere around the center. But again, you want to always see more than anything the thumbs pointing up, which means when we grip a club, there's space in here. A lot of people believe there should be no space. Well, if you get no space in there, you very likely have a strong grip and the thumb's on top. Here we want a little bit of space in there of the V, and this V, the left V, bottom hand V, should be pointing more towards about the center, but both keys are, thumb should be pointing up the forearm. When you have that, and a square club face, and a relatively firm grip, you just get in here, and your club will square up at impact, because every time your hands always come back to dead square in front of your body. That's the secret to release. And this all starts with a really good grip, fairly good firm grip pressure. You have that grip, have those thumbs in the right place, left arm shaft in line, or for a lefty, right arm and shaft in line for a righty, and turn to your hip up, to your forward hip, and you'll be in the right position to make intermittent up the tree and make good shots, good swings to hit those better shots. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be speaking with you all again soon.